Way, Wendy. Thank you.
Okay. Does sound okay? Yeah. Okay, good. Good.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today. This is our healthy cooking demonstration as Dina mentioned, the recipe is in the February newsletter, and February is Heart Month, but I want everyone to pay attention to heart health all year long. And I love to teach people to read labels and to understand how much sodium is too much sodium, and also easy ways to get more fiber into your diet. Because when fiber goes up, um, I I work with a lot. I do a lot of weight loss, and when I was counting calories with my patients, I'll be very honest, I wasn't terribly successful, and neither were my patients with just counting calories. And so I said, something's got to shift. And so what we started to do was count grams of fiber, and we started to count grams of added sugar. And then and only then was I able to help my patients lose weight and also control diabetes and have better cardiac health outcomes. And it was those two things. It was, let's see how we can get the fiber higher, and let's see how we can get the added sugar lower. It's something I came up with. I know I've mentioned it here before, but it's worth mentioning again. It's called my 3-3 method. Per serving, looking at the label, I'd like for the fiber to be higher than 3 grams. And per serving, looking at the label, I'd like the added sugar to be lower than 3 grams. And if you'd like me to I've written this up. And so if you'd like me to share this with Dina, maybe we could put it in or add it to the newsletter, or add it to the follow-up newsletter. And it really is just like it's a very, very simple way to look at the nutrition facts label without losing your darn mind. Because I've given lots and lots of grocery store tours, and I've watched people pick up a product off the shelf and say, lady, I don't even know where you want me to begin with this. Should I look at the fat? Should I look at the sodium? Should I look at the calories? And so I said, what if we could just only evaluate the nutrition facts label based on two pieces of data? And what if that is just fiber and added sugar? And if the fiber can go high and the added sugar can go low, cholesterol comes down, risk for diabetes goes down, weight comes down, satiety, that's fullness, goes up, satiety goes up. Also, we reduce our risk for cardiac disease when the fiber goes up and the added sugar goes down. And often what automatically corrects is salt, sodium, because I've observed in food, especially processed food, factory food, that sugar and salt are like peas and carrots. They always travel together. And so when we can reduce added sugar, we can also automatically, without really not even giving it too much thought, bring down the sodium that we're eating. So this recipe I want to make today is breakfast tacos. My mother is from San Antonio, and breakfast tacos are all the rage in Texas. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why we don't have breakfast tacos here. And I keep thinking somebody is going to open up a breakfast taco place, but nobody has. But so I have been making breakfast tacos since I was a kid, because my mother always brought tortillas home from Texas, or they would mail tortillas to us. My Texas family would do a care package of tortillas. So one of the tortillas that I have discovered, and I'm sure many of you have found these, it's a product. It is a processed product, but it's a product that I really like to help people find a way to enjoy, is because often what's found in these, they're called carb balance tortillas, or they're very, very high fiber tortillas. I like them because what ends up in these tortillas tends to be nutrient dense. And so I like these for I think they are a great vehicle for a lot of nutrient dense things. And you're going to see, I'm going to make some eggs. I'm going to put some tomatoes. I'm going to use some red bell pepper. I'm going to use some green onion and some regular Spanish onion. And stay with me, don't lose me, I'm going to put some black beans in the breakfast tacos. This is a can of drained black beans. We are one of the few cultures across the globe that doesn't eat beans for breakfast. There are many, many cultures all around the globe that start their day with beans. And anecdotally, in my nutrition practice, the more beans a patient eats, the more weight they lose. Now, I don't have data to back this up. This is just something that I have observed in my years of doing nutrition counseling. The more beans I can get into somebody's diet, the more weight they're able to lose. And it's because beans are full of protein, they're full of fiber, and they're also full of micronutrients, minerals, vitamins, antioxidants. And so the beautiful thing about beans is that when you eat them, you stay full and you are less likely to have an insulin spike that will make you go overeat on some kind of junky, sugary stuff later on in the day. So I love beans for their satiety, but I also love beans for their nutrients. And then who isn't on a budget? I love beans for they are a budget, the most budget friendly protein in the grocery store. No other protein even comes close to meeting the nutritional benefits of beans also and not breaking the bank when you eat beans. Do I eat canned beans? You better believe it because I'm a busy person. I have a lot going on and I do not have time to soak and cook beans. If you do, fantastic. I know people are using pressure cookers. Well, that's the old name for them. What's Instapot now? It's an Instapot now, but it's an old school pressure cooker. And those will cook beans like that. I've had good luck soaking beans and cooking them in my crock pot. But just lately, life has just gotten so busy. And I've said, you know what? Let's use canned beans. So this is a can of black beans. I think they were 89 cents at Aldi. I drain them and rinse them. And so when I drain and rinse, the sodium that is in the beans goes down the drain. And so I do always recommend that people have some kind of cooked protein in the house. Now, I've said, what if you went to the store on a Sunday and you bought a rotisserie chicken? Or what if you made an extra meatloaf, like you made one and then you made another one to cook and have later on? Well, this is also an example of a cooked protein. Beans are, I threw away the can. I'm gonna pull the can, pull the can out of the trash. Okay, I just pulled the can out of the trash. Beans are cooked inside the can. So raw beans, water, and salt, and some preservative, if they have them, are put inside the can. The can is sealed. There's no label on it because the label will burn in the oven. Okay, so these beans are run this can without the label. Raw beans inside, salt, water, are run through giant industrial ovens, and the beans are cooked inside the can. And so when you get that kind of starchy bean juice, don't worry, don't fret. It's just the starch that has cooked off the beans. It's supposed to be there. I know it can be kind of goopy, and some beans will cook more starch than other beans. And that's just because they're different varieties and they have different levels of different kinds of molecular makeups and starches. Nothing to worry about. When I am making a soup, I do include all the canned juice because I like the starch in the canned juice. I like the little bit of salt in the canned juice because the starch in that canned juice is going to make my soup nice and thick, which is what you want, especially this time of year when it's so darn cold outside. So canned beans for soups, for stews, for stir fries, and stay with me, breakfast, tacos, a little bit of black beans. I hope y'all don't think I'm gross, but this is a great way to add some protein, some fiber, some nutrient density to a breakfast. Dina mentioned these. I think you mentioned these egg frittata cups, or maybe you didn't. I think I've done that recipe, or that recipe is coming
You,
up. The egg
yeah,
frittata cups.
I think you did.
Okay, good. So I want to bring back that the idea of that recipe because what I'm going to do right now, you may say, oh, I don't have time to do that in the morning. And I respect that because what I'm about to do is I'm about to chop some vegetables and saute them up and crack some eggs and put them in a tortilla. That's cool if you have the time. And if you don't, you can take one of these egg frittatas that you made in advance. You store it in the fridge, it'll be cold, you pop it in the microwave just to take kind of the chill off of it. And one of those egg frittatas could go into one of these tortillas. You could top it with a little bit of if you bought a tub of guacamole, you could top it with some cheese. You could top it with some salsa, and then you've got a good breakfast that you can just kind of wrap up in a towel or a Tupperware and then take with you. It's a breakfast taco you can take with you. So that's another use of these egg frittata cups. You can eat the egg frittata cup with knife and a fork, and it's nice at your desk if you want to pop it in the microwave. But if you want to take one of these egg frittata cups and kind of chop it up a little bit and then put it in one of these tortillas, then it becomes more of a portable way to eat an egg frittata cup. Because I know egg frittata cups aren't really something that you eat with your hands. They can be a little wonky, maybe not great in the car, but whatever. It's just a different use for your egg frittata cups. So back to these tortillas. I like these tortillas. You may see them as, keto, which I hate that word, but you may also see them as high fiber or carb balance. Now, sometimes my family in Texas is like, Wendy, I can't believe you eat those tortillas. I'm like, well, I like them because they've got very, very high fiber, and when I eat them, I think they taste fine. And when I eat them, I stay very, very, very full because the fiber in them is very, very high. And I see there's all kinds of comments, and I can't see those comments, but I hope they're positive. Um,
Yeah, so I'll read some at the end if we have time. I'm trying to answer. A lot of people are just adding their email address
awesome,
to make sure that I can send points to them for participating, which
awesome,
actually is not necessary because when I record, I get an attendance list. So we should be
awesome.
good.
Okay, okay,
One
good.
person did ask, can you substitute pita bread for the tortilla? I assume yes, if you read the label and it's not, and it's got at least 3 grams of fiber and no added sugar or not much
Yeah.
added sugar and not too processed.
Well, pita bread it may give you an insulin spike because it's a bread. And the fiber in pita bread you're probably going to find is less than 1 gram. You'll probably find no added sugar, but pita bread is it's bread. It's bread. Um, and depending on what your health goals are, and I couldn't really answer for this individual unless I kind of knew what his or her health goals were.
Okay,
So yeah, okay.
thank you.
Um, but okay, so just go, you may be familiar with these. One of these is 60 calories, not a lot. And it does a lot of work for 60 calories. Okay, this guy is working really hard for all of his 60 calories. Okay, it's a workhorse. Okay, because it is the collector and the delivery service and the delivery vehicle for all this good stuff I'm going to make. So 60 calories for one of these guys. This is a whole wheat. Um, which means that this wheat is not an enriched wheat. It has the B vitamins, it has the iron and the fiber intact because that's what whole wheat does. And that's why I choose these. So the total carbohydrate is 20 grams. However, the fiber in it is 18 grams. So the net carb load is 2, which is very, very, very low for something that does the work of a tortilla. Um, some of my patients, if they are trying to lose weight or better manage diabetes, they may take these and maybe they'll roll up some turkey and some tomato in this and make a quick little roll up. Or some people will do make a peanut butter and jelly on these and make a quick little roll up. I like them. They are on the ultra processed side, but again, I think that if they can kind of get you to your goals and help you eat more nutrient dense stuff, then it's a win. It's a win. And I am not sponsored by the High Fiber Tortilla Council. I promise you that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an onion. Almost everything I make starts with an onion, and this includes breakfast. And I'd like to point out that the most sugar in the American diet comes to us from breakfast. The most sugary foods in the American diet are breakfast foods. When you stop and you think about all the foods in the American diet that comprise breakfast, um, we have muffins, and we have pancakes, and we have maple syrup sausage and waffles and syrup and donut, and then we have Dunkin' and we have Starbucks. And so we consume more sugar at breakfast than we do any other meal during the day. And so what if breakfast could start out with 0 grams or very, very low grams of added sugar? Then we're not starting the day where we are is the internet okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, good, good. It was just kind of going in and out. What if we could start the day with low grams of added sugar, which means what happens is we do not jump on the sugar train. So many of my patients will start their day off with a sugary cereal or maybe a big bagel or a muffin or something that's very, very sugary. And they say, okay, that was nice, but an hour later, I'm starving to death and I need another hit of flour or I need another hit of sugar. What if we could start our day with something that had 0 grams of added sugar, adequate protein, high fiber? This breakfast will stay with you for a long time. And that's the whole idea behind everything I do is how do we find foods that promote satiety, satiety, satiety? And that is done with foods that have real nutrition. These tomatoes, these beans, this pepper, all of these things have real nutrition. Protein, I've got protein in the beans, and I've also got protein in the eggs. And what was the other? And then I've got fiber. I've got fiber in all of the vegetables and the beans, and also in the tortilla. So that these breakfast tacos are going to hit on three: the fiber, the protein, and then the nutrient density. And all three of these things can help us stay full and avoid overeating later on in the day. So stop talking and start cutting. So before I start cooking, if I have the time, I will take my knife and do a couple of quick passes on my steel. What this does is it just makes my knife a more precise instrument. It doesn't actually really sharpen. It just takes the blade and it makes it more of a more precise blade, which means I can cut faster and I can cut safer. So I'm going to start with the onion. Let's demonstrate the onion. Here's the bottom. Here are the roots. So the roots were down in the ground like this, and here's the top. The green stuff was coming out of the top, and this is how our onion grows. So I'm going to cut off the top. And then when I cut off the top, it makes peeling the onion very, very easy. Now, before I started cutting off tops, I was always trying to peel an onion and it was a lot of work. And now that I cut the top, look how easy this guy's just peeling off. Comes off real fast. Just when I cut off the top. The other reason I cut off the top is I want to cut flat. When I teach cooking and I teach vegetable prep, let's get a flat surface on all of our vegetables so that we don't hurt ourselves or cut ourselves. So it's hard to cut something that's rolling around like this. That's hard. But if I get a flat surface like I did, look, it's nice and steady. It's not moving around on me. So right down the middle of the root, I'm going to come down with my hand on the top of the blade. The top of the blade is not sharp. I'm not going to hurt myself. Come down, cut this onion in half. This half of the onion is going to go into, I know I've mentioned this before. Oh, it's out. Where is it? My humidor. Oh, there it is. My vegetable humidor. I know I've mentioned it before. This is the best thing that has ever happened to my kitchen. Full stop. The vegetable humidor. Half of the onions going in my breakfast tacos. The other half goes in here. I have a head of romaine. Stock is on. When the stock's on, the food lasts 3-4 times. You can get 3-4 times the life out of your vegetables if you leave the stock on. That goes for bananas, grapes, tomatoes. If you don't want your food to rot, leave it like it came from the farm. Don't cut this off. I've got some cherry tomatoes in here. I've got a couple of radishes in here. And then the most important thing, I've got my wet paper towel. This wet paper towel is constantly infusing moisture into the food. And I keep this at eye level. I open up the fridge. It's the first thing I see. So my vegetables are right there, hands on their hips, like, hello, lady. You bought the vegetables to get into the belly. What are you going to do with the stuff that's in your vegetable humidor? All this is spring mix that I bought at Aldi. I ate the spring mix. I didn't throw it away. This container becomes, and it's clear. That's the other nice thing about it. You want to have a clear container because you want to be able to see what vegetables do I have. And so they're staring at you like, what can I do? Maybe I should make a salad because that stuff looks like it might be on its way out, or maybe I can add a little tomato or onion to my eggs or whatever. But when the vegetables, you come home from the store and you shove them in the drawers of death, it's out of sight, out of mind. And the drawers of death are those drawers in the refrigerator where all beautiful produce goes to die. And so we don't use the drawers of death. We put the produce in one of these at eye level and we get it in our bodies. That's why we bought it. That's why we spent all of that money. We didn't spend all of that money on that produce to throw it in the trash. We spent that money on that produce to get into the belly. And again, people say, Wendy, what is the best vegetable? And the answer is the one that gets into your belly. That's the answer. What's the best fruit? What's the best fruit? The one that gets into your belly. And this means if it's canned, if it's frozen, if it's organic, if it's non-organic, please, let's stop being so perfectionist about fruits and vegetables and just let's choose the fruits and vegetables that work for us and eat them. Okay, let me set that aside. So I've got my pan going. This is a nonstick pan. I do use nonstick pans when I'm doing eggs, and it's a little on the hot side. I cook with butter. I've always cooked with butter. I cook with butter and not butter, right? And it's the old phrase, it's not the poison, it's the dose. I love butter. I love the taste of it. Not afraid of it. I also cook with olive oil. I make salad dressings out of olive oil, but if I'm doing a little high temp cooking, I will use a vegetable oil, like if I'm doing like a sear or a fry, because you don't want to get your olive oil too hot because it smokes. So I'm going to do a little bit of butter in the pan, a little bit, maybe that's half a tablespoon. Cut that. Don't need much. I don't need much, just need it for the flavor. And then I'm going to cut my onion. So you see I've got half my onion. I'm going to keep this guy intact because it helps me dice my onion. Flat on the cutting board. The knife goes into the onion in this direction. The point of my blade is pointing towards the root. Make some cuts. And then I'm going to turn the knife in the opposite direction. And I've got a beautiful dice. Just that simple. Cut that way, beautiful dice. Done fast. If you've ever seen prep cooks in restaurants do this, it's mind-boggling how fast they can chop onions. It's incredible. I always like to remind people that you do not need expensive $300 knives to work safely in the kitchen. This is a $13 knife from Gordon Food Service. So don't think that you have to have fancy, expensive carbon steel, perfect knives. If you'd like to, let me get a spatula. I forgot to grab a spatula. If you'd like to take your knives to Ace Hardware and get a really great blade on them, that's can be something you do every January, is take your knives to like Ace Hardware and have them put a really, really, really great blade on them. Also, there's a lot of farmers markets around the Tampa Bay area, and some will have knife sharpening services. So you drop off your knives, they sharpen your knives while you go shop around the market. So I'm going to get some onions going in my nonstick pan with some butter. We're not afraid of a little bit of butter for flavor. Also, we need a little bit of fat in the pan to cook the onions. Hopefully you can hear them, the sizzling. I've got a red bell pepper. I pulled this guy out of the vegetable humidor. I used some of him and then I stored him in the humidor. I've got the seeds intact. I've got the stem intact. You see, I will get more life out of this bell pepper if I leave the seeds and the middle and the stem intact. It'll last longer, live longer. That's another example of don't remove stems and other things if you want to get max life out of your vegetables. I'm just going to go ahead and do, I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to do all of it because I've got it all set up. I've got my cutting board. I've got my knife that's good and sharp. Let's just do all the peppers. This is going to be a big taco. And I'll see, how much can I get into the pan? I'll do my best. And whatever I can't get in the pan, I'll save for later, or I'll just eat with a fork. When you're eating these very, very high fiber foods, I find that I call these high volume foods. When the fiber is really high, when the vegetables are really abundant, you get a big, big volume of food. And so I work with a lot of people who are trying to lose weight, but they're used to eating in large volumes. And what we do is we really ramp up the fiber, and then they still get to eat in the volumes that they're used to, but they're losing weight because all of these high fiber vegetables are essentially, I'm not going to say 0 calories, but pretty close. Onions and peppers and other things are pretty close to almost nothing. Lots and lots of nutrition, lots of satiety, but we get the calories really, really low. Any questions? so far.
I'll read a couple questions. First of all, someone commented those tortillas are on BOGO right now this week at Publix. That's good to
Sweet.
know.
Sweet, thanks.
Megan is asking, is Hero bread as healthy as advertised? I'm not familiar with that. Are you, Wendy? Hero bread?
No, but if that person has the label in front of them, I'd be happy to just hear about the numbers on the label and make a decision.
Okay. Megan, if you want to email me, maybe the label, if you don't have it in front of you, then maybe we can share it out next time. There's lots of no or low sodium options in grocery stores for, I think, the beans you were talking about here. I'm just looking at lots of comments. Are the carb control health benefits worth the increase in price on those? I think you would say yes, Wendy, huh? On those, and then a lot of people are commenting that Aldi has some good options for tortillas. Again, just reading labels. And then Eric is asking, do we have any gluten-free options for wraps besides corn tortillas? Do you know any brands that are gluten-free?
That's a good question. Besides corn tortillas, because I was just going to jump to let's have a corn tortilla. Y'all mentioned the Aldi. This is the brand that Aldi carries. This is the high fiber brand that Aldi carries. I've got these two. I forgot I had them.
Great. Somebody's offering that a gluten-free option is cassava flour tortillas by
Cool.
I don't know how you pronounce that brand, Siete. Egg Life wraps, I have seen those. 30 calories and tons of protein. Thank you all for sharing.
Yeah.
The extra flavor in the spinach herb wraps, someone's commenting, Patty.
Okay.
And the Egg Life wraps are good.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about those. It's a product I haven't tried, but a lot of my patients have. It's a wrap, but it's actually made of eggs.
Yeah.
I haven't tried those. I haven't tried those.
Old Extreme Wellness wraps that are high in fiber. Have you heard of those? Okay.
Yep, I've had those before. Those are good too.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say, there's lots of products out there. Reading the labels and just checking all those ingredients that you can't pronounce. That's probably means that it might not be the greatest option. Somebody's putting the seeded sliced bread label here. This might be that bread that we were talking about earlier. So 60 calories. I'll have you comment on this, Wendy. You'll be able to look at the chat when we're done here. We're at 11:27, so I'll let you continue.
This is the Hero bread that was
the
mentioned
Hero bread.
earlier.
Thank you, Megan. Yes.
Oh, that's the Hero bread. Okay. So I guess we could the serving size, I assume, is one slice, and we can look at the fiber. We can look at the added sugar.
Yep, the fiber, there's 6 grams of protein. There is 12 grams of fiber in one slice. Wow.
Okay, cool.
It's got great things like flaxseed and sunflower seed kernels, millet, pumpkin seeds, and at 0 added sugar.
Okay. That sounds like, a lot of my patients are switching to these higher fiber breads and other kind of bready products because they just weren't starting out with weight loss. They just I'm just not ready to quit bread. And bread is still a big part of the way I eat. So, but how can I still have some bread and not have that insulin spike? And so these tortillas and these bread products are a way for them to not have that big insulin spike when that we get from regular bread. And the reason we get this insulin spike from regular bread is because the number one ingredient is this enriched wheat flour. The minute it hits the belly, it shifts, it turns, and we get an insulin spike. So this white flour and sugar, once they hit the belly, they pretty much do the same thing. They cause a pretty rapid insulin spike. And then the cells suck up the sugar because that's what the insulin told them to do. And then a message goes from belly to brain that says, okay, we need more of that stuff. And that's where that hunger comes in. That's where that hunger after an hour or 90 minutes of eating something that's very, very sugary or kind of carby, like a pancake, a waffle, a bagel, a muffin, a toast, a Starbucks, a Dunkin'. I throw Starbucks and Dunkin' under the bus a lot because many of their drinks can easily contribute 60, 70 grams of added sugar to your diet every day. I know they are a treat, but whatever we can do to reduce our intake of added sugars, particularly in liquid form, in my opinion, they are the most insidious, dangerous calories are the ones that come to us in liquid form. The sugars and the calories that come to us in beverages. I can really, really make a difference in if I'm working with somebody who has diabetes on beverages alone. Beverages alone, we can do incredible things with fasting blood glucose, lowering A1C, and reducing medications. I'm going to add some black beans to this. Don't judge me. It's not judgment. But you might be like, really, Wendy, beans? I'm like, and I'm not going to add the whole can. I'm just going to add a few beans. I got my eggs going. I cracked 2 eggs. I need to turn down the heat. I've got too much heat. I've got the beans going, and right now I haven't added any salt or any kind of spices. I'm about to change that. I'm very, very heavy-handed with spices. I want my food to taste like something. I like big flavor. So I'm going to do cumin. Get this out of the way. I love, this is Badia brand cumin, 0 sodium in here. I'm going to add some cumin. Now this is mild chili powder. This particular chili powder does contain sodium. So I'm going to be kind of careful with it. I have ruined a lot of food because I didn't realize my chili powder had sodium and I was over salting my food because I tend to be very heavy handed with spices. Now, this is a paprika that has no added sugar. So, excuse me, added sodium. So it's a sodium free spice. So if you wanted to, I could be very, very heavy handed with paprika because it has no sodium, but I'm going to be careful with my chili powder.
All right. So Wendy, for people
Yeah.
like me who really like to use measuring spoons and get some anxiety over that, just shaking random amounts of spice, what would you say to someone like me?
Well, maybe you could pre-measure what a teaspoon looks like on a plate. And then, and I think that this effort is worth it because it'll speed up your cooking. If you could, then you could mimic that shake on a plate so that you know when I do this, it's a teaspoon. Because I'm always trying to, what slows people down in the kitchen? And often what slows them down is getting out measuring spoons and measuring. And when you're baking, you must measure. But when you're cooking, I don't think anybody has to measure.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, but
Be courageous.
I appreciate that because not everybody is just gonna like that. I get it. But if you could kind of like I measure out a teaspoon on a plate, that's what a teaspoon looks like, and then try and mimic it with your shakers. I just want you to move fast in the kitchen. And I don't want cooking for anybody on this call to be time intensive, painful, brain intensive. I just don't want the process of cooking to exhaust you because if it exhausts you, you may be very likely to pick up the phone and do Uber Eats, DoorDash, drop 80, 90 bucks on dinner. And then you've just had a meal that was 3,000 milligrams of sodium, lots of added sugar, lots of deep fried stuff. I'm just home cooking, whatever gets us there faster, because I'm working with a lot of people whose DoorDash and Uber Eats are draining their household budgets. How can we shop in the grocery store, cook at home, easy, simple, Nothing crazy, nothing cuckoo, nothing gourmet. It doesn't have to be perfect. It shouldn't look like the Food Network. It
Mm,
can't look like the Food Network. We've got to get rid of this perfectionism and just like, I made dinner and it's great and I love it and it's my food. And it
yeah.
cost me $6 in ingredients.
Yeah, I do
10.
appreciate all your tips to help us with our financial well-being, our physical well-being. And cooking can be a joy, and that's an emotional well-being support for a lot of people. And when your tips help it feel more joyful. I know
Good.
we have to
Thank you.
wrap up. We're at 11:35. So
Okay.
is there any other information you want to share?
I just want to apologize because in my head, I came on this call thinking I had an hour and I am so sorry, Dina. I'm
It's
so sorry
okay.
because
We just
I
do
have been
30 minutes.
I have been running my mouth like I have an hour and I am so sorry.
That's okay. I think we
Oh,
got the gist of it. You've taught us a lot.
well,
We'll make this recording available so you can play it back, everyone. I do have a question here about the Yuka app. I use the Yuka app. Wendy, do you use the Yuka app?
I use it with a very, very kind of a careful eye because I think that what comes to the top is sponsored content. So just be
Mm.
mindful that what is presented to you, some corporation may have paid for that opportunity. That's all I want to say about that. And
Okay.
lastly, do we put cheese on our breakfast tacos? You better believe we do. I've got some cheese here and I've got a grater somewhere and I would put salsa, guacamole, and maybe some grated cheese on top of my breakfast tacos because food must be joyful. This is not punitive eating. This is not hateful eating. I guess I better eat this because I have to. No, we eat beautiful, big, colorful, gorgeous food and it tastes good and it should be lovely and joyful.
And we should grate our own cheese because when it comes prepackaged, grated, there's usually fillers or preservatives or
Yes.
something that makes it less healthy for us, right?
Also, it is twice the money.
Yeah, true. Someone else doing
Twice
that
the
work,
money.
just take a few minutes and grate your own cheese.
Yeah, if I could find my grater. I don't know where it went. It's somewhere. But yeah, great. Yeah, got it.
Got it. We got it. Thank you all so much.
Thank
We
you.
really enjoyed it. We'll see you next month, right before the week before spring. No, February. We'll send out the invite for February. I'm getting ahead of myself here. And then we will be doing March, April, and May before the school year ends. So thank you, Wendy. We've really enjoyed these sessions.
Thank you. I love coming on with y'all. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day. I'll send your points out to you, everybody, and the link to this recording. Have a great day, everyone.